In today's video, I'm going to talk about wrist pain when you do push-ups and what you can do to still do push-ups when your wrist mobility is just not that good. I'm going to show you some things that'll help you get the wrist flexibility to be able to do a push-up, and I'm going to explain why you should be doing push-ups in the first place, even if you're over 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, whatever years old. So if you're ready, let's get ready to think right, move right, and feel right. First, let's talk about why your wrist mobility is just terrible. You spend a lot of time with your wrists doing this or typing on a keyboard like this. You don't spend a lot of time doing anything where your wrists have to bend in any extreme angle. So when you go down to the floor to do a push-up, you are suddenly asking your hands and wrists to do something that they haven't done in like 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And the result is pain. The solution to this pain is not to go cutting in there with scalpels or blades or whatever. No, the solution is to ATM. Always think muscles. Because muscles move your bones, and if your bones aren't able to get into a certain configuration, it's because your muscles don't know how to allow it safely. Or put another way, your muscles don't know how to control the position. So if I didn't have muscles here and I was trying to bend my elbow, I wouldn't be able to do it. No muscles, no bend. My buddy Boney here can't fix his elbow position because he's got no muscles and also no brain. I know where you live, mofo. So if you want to be able to move well, you have to have muscles and a brain. So we're going to work on your muscles right now. Hey, I also want to ask, if you do have wrist pain while you're doing push-ups, when did it start? When did you notice it? And what have you been doing to try to fix it? Drop me a comment down below. There are muscles that cross the wrist joint, and those are the ones that you need to train to allow your wrists to bend back so that you can do a push-up. This isn't very complicated. Put your palms on the floor, fingers facing away from you, and then start shifting yourself forward. Only go as far as you can without feeling like you're going to die. You shouldn't feel like there's painful, horrible, horrific, jamming, pinching, burning, whatever sensations. You want to feel some challenge, some stretch here on the opening angle, not jamming on the closing angle. If you don't know what opening and closing angles are, I made a video about this that you can watch. I'll link to it down below. But in short, it's this. Opening angle is where the angle is getting open. It's getting bigger, and the closing angle is right here where the angle is getting smaller. So you want to make sure you feel the opening angle getting a challenge. Hang out there for 30 seconds to a minute, longer if you can tolerate it. Also think about using some contractions. So think about pressing into the floor with your fingers and your palm so that you're using those muscles that are on stretch. And then relax a little bit, and you can go a little tiny bit further, staying within a range of motion that feels doable. Again, no pinching, no jamming on that closing angle. You can also try turning your fingers to point towards you and then shift back, only going as far as you can, feeling a good challenge to the opening angle, so the muscles that are crossing this side of your forearm. And you're just gonna, ooh yeah, breathe there, relax. You can press in with your fingers in your palm for about 3 seconds, 5 seconds, and then go a little bit closer to yourself. Get closer with yourself, and then do the same thing. Again, you're feeling stuff open up, and you're training the muscles to figure out how to control this, how to get out of the way on this side, how to fire enough, how to stretch enough on that side, so that you can then load into it for a push-up. Now, as you're developing that actual flexibility to open up the wrist to get there, you also need to get those muscles to get used to handling the weight of your body on top of your hands and wrists. So once you have done a little bit of stretching to open things up, you can then start thinking about loading into your hands and wrists. So you can take 1 foot back, start putting some more pressure into your hands and wrist. And don't rush to go to the full push-up, but just kind of hang out here. See what happens. What happens when you put more weight into your hands and wrists? Does it feel really tiring? Does it feel a little sketchy? If it feels sketchy, then just back out a little bit, a little less pressure, a little less weight on there. And then hang out there for 10, 20, 30 seconds. Take a little rest, and then you can go back into it. Do 10, 20, 30 seconds, work up to around a minute if you can, if that feels safe. If it doesn't feel safe, obviously cut it back a little bit. And then as you get better at it, you can keep putting more and more weight into it, taking away help from this leg, maybe just keeping a little bit of help, and then eventually, like that. And then you can just hang out in your push-up position. Then once you're in that push-up position, you can actually be doing push-ups like so. But you might be thinking, well, I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait for my wrists to be flexible enough to do my push-ups. So let's talk about what you can do now. What if I don't want to do push-ups? No matter what age you are, it's important to be able to do push-ups because push-ups can literally save your life. Let's say you're 60 years old and you fall on the floor and you have to get up. If you can do a push-up, it's really not that big a deal. But if you can't do a push-up, this becomes a very undignified struggle to figure out what to do to get yourself back up off of the floor. And I'm not trying to make fun of anybody in this situation. My own father, who passed away earlier this year, had this problem a couple years ago. He was walking around outside, fell flat on his face, and paramedics had to come pick him up because he was stuck, struggling to get off of the floor because he didn't have the strength to even turn himself. So if the reason you're not doing push-ups right now is because you want to avoid some embarrassment and struggle and discomfort in doing a new exercise, then keep in mind you're going to struggle with a lot more embarrassment, discomfort, and shame when you are stuck on the floor and somebody has to call 911 to pick you up. And just to be clear, I'm not trying to shame anybody or make fun of anybody. I'm just trying to make clear that when you don't feel like you are capable and confident and able to move your own body, you're not going to feel good. Bad emotions will arise. Hey, I want to give a huge shout out to Dave Miller and thank him for the $150 he has donated over the last couple months to support this channel. He donated via my website, and you'll find a donation link in the description box if you want to support this channel and future videos like this one too. You can also join me on Patreon at patreon.com/uprighthealth, where I will be posting exclusive content that only goes to Patreon. So thank you very, very much for your support. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button. Join me on my newsletter at uprighthealth.com/newsletter, and let's get back to the video. Let's get back to what to do if you want to train your push-ups and your wrist mobility is just not that good. You can grab some dumbbells, put them on the floor so they don't have to be heavy. In fact, the weight doesn't matter. What does matter is that you have enough room to grab them while they're on the floor. So don't get like 1 pound weights, but maybe 3 pound weights are totally fine. And then you're just going to go into the best push-up position that you can. Remember, when you're in the push-up position, you want to feel some tension. You want your abs on, you want your leg muscles firing, you want your butt cheeks on a bit too. And you want to be stable in your shoulders. Then you're going to go down, and what you're going to notice is your wrists are not the limiting factor anymore because the dumbbells allow your wrists to stay pretty much straight while you're doing the push-up. So then you are free to build your arm, shoulder, chest strength while you still have your crappy wrist flexibility. And if now you're thinking, well, I can't actually get into the full push-up position on the floor, then that's okay too. I have a video to explain what to do if you can't do a full push-up on the floor. I will link to it in the description box and here up above. So when I was a kid, I took martial arts for a couple of years, and part of the discipline of the martial art I was in required you to do push-ups just whenever the instructor told you to. So we did a lot of push-ups, and even though I was kind of a chubby, out of shape kid, I was able to do push-ups when I was young. I was probably in like 2nd, 3rd grade. But then when I was in high school, by the end of senior year, I discovered something horrible. I had played roller hockey since middle school and considered myself reasonably athletic because I was a pretty decent goalie and a pretty decent skater. But one day I went to go do push-ups as just some sort of random check-in on my own self, and I realized I couldn't do a push-up. It was really shocking and embarrassing. And again, this goes back to this idea of when you lack physical competence, you're going to lack confidence. You're going to feel like there's something a little bit wrong. And while it's not something you necessarily need to be ashamed of or embarrassed by, it is a sign to you that it is something you can work on and improve. Now, I'm in my early 40s now. I'm fitter now than I was when I was a teenager, and that's because I've learned to listen to my body and to work on improving it rather than just trying to make it fit a mold of this is how it's supposed to look. I'm trying to think about how it's supposed to function so that I feel good. Now, as a consequence, I look reasonably good, I think. That is a matter of opinion. But more importantly, I know that I can keep my body feeling good even as I get older, as long as I'm willing to put in the work. When I was in high school and I realized I couldn't do push-ups, it took me about a month to be able to get the push-up ability back and to have that basic level of strength back. If you're older, it might take you a little bit longer. If you're overweight, it might take you a little bit longer. You might have to lose some weight, and that will almost definitely help because this is just physics. The point I'm trying to make is if you are willing to put in a little bit of time and effort and you're willing to listen to your body, you can make huge improvements and they will be 100% worth it. Now, if you're looking for a program to help you rebuild your body at home, I highly encourage you to go to uprighthealth.com/DIY and find a program that's gonna work for you. To support this channel, please consider joining me on Patreon or use the donation links you'll find in the description box. For more free videos to help you with your push-ups, check these videos out here. Like, share, subscribe with the bell notification on, please. And as always, I hope you remember that pain sucks, life shouldn't.